Fannie Jackson Coppin, an educator and missionary who became one of the first Black women to hold the position of school principal. Mary McLeod Bethune. She is the founder of the Daytona Normal and Industrial Institute for Girls, which is now known as Bethune-Cookman University. Susie King Taylor, the first Black teacher to openly instruct African Americans in the state of Georgia. Marva Collins founded the West Side Preparatory School in 1975 to teach underserved students, becoming famous for her alternative teaching methods. Charlotte Fortin Grimke, the first Black teacher at the Penn School in South Carolina, educating freedom during the Civil War. Nanny Helen Burroughs founded the National Training School for Women and Girls in 1909. Anna Julia Cooper, a prominent author and educator who advocated for higher education for Black women. Septima Poinsett Clark fought for the right of Black teachers to work in public schools. These names may not sound familiar to you because they're not taught every day, but these are unsung heroes in education and Black history that have fought for our rights to have education and take it to the level in which we're at now. Black history doesn't stop with just those names, but there is an educator who has made history not only in the state of New Jersey and the city of Trenton, but will be considered Black history. Her name is Sharron Grady. Sharron is a legendary educator, coach, and athletic administrator from Trenton, New Jersey, who in her journey coming from North Carolina with a humble spirit, rose to the place of breaking glass ceilings and obtaining the very things that they said that she couldn't be done. As 52 years of her life, she dedicated to Trenton Central High School, the Trenton Public School District. She retired in December 2023 as one of the most beloved and respected figures in Trenton's education and athletic community. Her legacy doesn't stop in the halls of Trenton Central High School, but it was her interaction with the students and the families that made her so powerful and such a prominent force in the community. Her name will forever ring in the history books. It will forever ring in the hallways of Trenton Central High. And 50 years from now, when they're reading about Black history, it will be Sharron Grady and her legacy that they will be reading about. It will be Sharron Grady and her legacy that will be told throughout the classrooms, in the lives, in the homes of everyone who has come through contact with her. So would you help me to bring to the stage Sharron Grady?
Yeah, let me tell you about the ones they tried to hide. The heroes in the shadows who stood up with pride. Shirley Chisholm, first Black woman in Congress. Unboard and unbossed, paved the way for generations, no matter the cost. Bayard Rustin organized the march in Washington, you see. Behind the scenes, architect of equality. Claudette Colvin, 15 years old, refused to give up a seat. 9 months before Rosa, but history incomplete. Annie Lee Cooper stood in line to vote, got punched in the face. But she fought back, wouldn't let them put her in a place. Dorothy Heights, civil rights queen for 6 decades strong. Fighting for women's rights, righting every wrong. Bessie Coleman, first Black woman pilot to fly. Broke barriers in the sky, reaching way up high. Robert Abbott founded the Chicago Defender, spread the news. Gave Black voices power, shared our view. You can't erase.
We're going to get right into it, Sharron.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, you were the first African-American woman to become the athletic director of Trenton School District, and CBC for that matter.
Yeah. Yes.
What were the challenges that you had to face as a trailblazer accomplishing something like that?
Well, Eric, first of all, being an athletic director is a predominantly male, supposedly male role or position or job or whatever you would like to call it. So it was, when I was asked to take this position, I had my doubts. I said, oh no, because a male was in it and they were moving him out. And the the head of HR who asked me, she was a minister.
Okay.
And she called me to come to her office because I said, oh no, I can't do that. No, we have one. She said, yes, but we want you in that position. And I came home, and that person that was in the position was a very good friend of mine and did not want to leave.
Oh.
So it was I had my joys, and it hurt and it felt good, and it hurt and felt good. And anyway, once I accepted it,
Hmm.
um, you know, every meeting that I went to, there was no women there at that time. I was the only African American in the room,
Mm.
um, of men, and that was Mercer County, not just the CVC at that time. So there were 30 of us or more, and it was tough because they would listen, but then they would, okay, well, move right on. And
Wow.
then I was selected by the state to be in the one of the on the executive committee for the state.
Okay.
And then eyebrows raised, like, wow, she got that, she
Mm.
is in that. So, nothing I did not expect. But once I got in the state, on the state level, with
Hmm.
that executive committee, those folk who were superintendents, lawyers for the state, superintendents from all different school districts, a
Hmm.
few athletic directors, principals. It was there was a whole different respect, I want to say.
Okay.
So that gave me a little more confidence, um, you know, knowing that I belong here.
That's right.
I belong here. My voice is needed, and it is respected. And
Hmm.
so, this is where this is how it all started. And this is where I am now with it. Yeah.
So obviously those challenges, like you said, and I guess replacing a friend was the
Yeah.
most painful aspect of this whole transition, because it wasn't that's what you wanted to do.
No, by no
It wasn't
means.
what you wanted to do.
Mm-mm.
But for that
No.
time and for that period of time, you were the one that was designed and by God to be in that position.
And
And
that's it. Yeah.
so but you know what though, Sharon, it goes back to even in our spiritual walk, the challenges that the Lord allows us to move in front of. And we can think of Moses. Remember Moses, he didn't think that he was
Mhm.
worthy enough to go before Pharaoh because of his speech impediment and the other little hangups that he had.
Mhm.
But God will never allow us to face a challenge without the necessary tools to accomplish it. And
Absolutely.
you had everything that was necessary to accomplish this. And not only accomplish, Sharon, but I'm talking about take this thing above where they expected you to take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So we, again, you were the one. I know it's painful, but we are so glad. And the city of Trenton is extremely thankful for you taking this position, because it's through that position you were able to break some glass ceilings. You
Absolutely.
were able to accomplish some things that I'm sure were in the works, but never got the traction it needed to become, you know, fluent.
Yeah.
So we're glad you took it. We're glad you took it. Now I'm gonna tell you something, Sharon. I've already I've done my taping with Mitzi
Mm-hmm.
and Yasminelli
Mm-hmm.
Gonzalez, and they both, when I said your name, they both began to express how you were influential in their lives. And they have both gone to accomplish great things. Mitzi being the first cheerleader
Mm-hmm.
the uh, Elizabeth City
But
Hall
it
of
is.
Fame induction. Yasminelli being the first Latino woman, and they all gave you the highest compliment because it was through your direction and through your involvement in their lives that they were able to address certain things and take off. So you have no idea. And then me personally, even before this, when you always came to support the meeting place and you were always welcomed and opened up with a warm welcome, you inspired me, because there's been days on Mondays when
I can imagine.
I'm either tired, I'm getting ready to go to work,
Yes.
got to deal with them crazy folks at work. But there was times when I have grown to the fact where I look for Sharron with 2 R's. Look, there's certain people. Sharron, there are certain people that now I have grown accustomed to lean on in this ministry, and you're one of them. And again, it's just your warm, caring personality, and that's what carries that. I mean, that particular aspect of your character is so infectious, and when that infection attacks us, we are now inspired to do great things. We're inspired to move that extra step when we didn't think we could. So you have no idea. Now, you coached cheerleading for 38 years, and you helped win 9 state championships in track. Which role brought you the most joy, if you can even single out?
Well, you know what, Eric, that's a hard thing. I did so long with cheerleading, and what was so special with these young ladies, and I had young men as well, was that they were coming in. I came from down in North Carolina. It's my home. Trenton is not my home. I came from Carolina, HBCU.
All right.
And so when I came here at 21 years old and started at Trenton High School, I didn't know. I was like, I haven't seen anything like this. So the people said, well, listen, can you take over? And I said, absolutely. And that started a HBCU style that Trenton was like, oh my God. And I had an afro that was like out here. And down south, you live in Atlanta, we had to fight for our freedom and to be our speech. Where in the North, I just believe that they didn't have what we had in the beginning of the civil rights, that whole civil rights move and march back in the 70s and the 80s. They didn't have what we had to fight for. So when wasn't me. My husband came with me at the time. He was actually the girls' head coach, and I was his assistant. So both of those sports brought so much pleasure because we made such a difference to the children we had made relationships with. Wow. Had those strong ties, and they saw in us. They didn't know anything about HBCU. They didn't know anything. We had kids they had never even heard of. One girl, I remember, she would ask us when we would go different places to run track. She wanted to know what state were we in each time because she had never been out of the state of New Jersey. Some of them had never been anywhere but across to Morrisville.
My.
So the experiences that we were able to introduce to both teams propel those young ladies and young men. And, that's what I'm so proud of because they call us constantly. These are doctors, lawyers, vice presidents of Bank of America, doctors who started out in Donnelly homes. They were raised by a parent who may not have seen their report card since they were in the 4th grade. I mean, these are all kinds of stories that now when I look back and we took one young lady, she went to Temple first. We took her over there because she had nobody to get her to school. She couldn't stay there. So my husband got her in North Carolina Central in Durham because that's his home. We took her there, got her in. She was a runner, but she was also a medical student. Got her taking classes at North Carolina Central. She left there, couldn't stay there. Now, she didn't have anybody that was working any paperwork and calling, but my husband and I. So then she ended up at Howard University at the same time that my oldest daughter was going to Howard University. Wow. So they were already friends, but they ended up there at the same time. And this young lady never had anyone to check. When I say anyone, family. To make sure that she had what she needed. And to move fast forward, she graduated from Rutgers. She is now one of the very few doctors of high-risk women. She's a gynecologist, high risk, not in the United States, in the world.
In the world.
in the world.
In the
Yes.
world.
And
Oh,
she came from Donnelly Homes, lived in a place where they didn't have anywhere to live.
mm, mm, mm.
But these are the stories. What I'm saying all that to say, they didn't know anything about, but they were wonderful kids, and some of them were not so wonderful. We had to work at it.
Mhm.
They were angry. A lot of young people are angry because of a lot of situations, but they learn respect. They learn how to present themselves, how to show up as a Black woman or a Black man. How you going to show up, it tells a lot about who you are.
That's
And
right.
so these were the things. So when I break it up into the cheerleaders, we would take them on vacation. They'd never been to the Poconos. We took them up there a van load. We flew the track team down to a national championship. The girls, 9 girls, had never been on an airplane before. Oh,
Wow.
we took just an hour ride down to North Carolina. We got sponsors and everything. And now those girls are back. One of them is a lawyer. These are all kinds of experiences that I think just mold kids, help them to be, not kids, young ladies and young men, that
Mhm.
help be what God planned for their lives. We were just instruments that He
Okay.
used. And so I have the love for both sets of young people, different skill set, and some of them crossed over. Some cheerleaders, they just left and came with me in the spring right to track. Fantastic, did what we said. A lot of times they didn't. It wasn't all sugar and cream. We
Right.
were every night taking people, trying to find somewhere for them to work, live, all kinds. But by the grace of God, it worked out. And we look back and see the fruits of our spirit, of our work now, fruits of that labor as we move forward and see what those young people are doing, their children are doing. It's just amazing.
My mind. I'm telling you, that is this is what Black history is all about. This is, we are moving forward based on the struggles of our ancestors, but it's what we do now that shows the respect for what our ancestors put up with. And you guys being such culturally strengthened in the community and being able to show these young men and women the life that is there at their disposal if they want it, outside of their personal prisons that they had to live in and come up in. That in itself was just, priceless. To me, it's priceless. Now I'm thinking back at what was so important about bringing sports night to Trenton High, bringing that back.
Okay, so when I first started, they had been having sports nights since the 20s, from my hearing. I didn't know what it was all about. I had no idea. So we were taught by someone who had been through it long time ago. She came and explained it to us.
Okay.
And once she explained it to us, we took off, and we had, at the time that it used to be, it was all girls. Well, by now we're into the 90s. And by us being into the 90s, that means we had co-ed phys ed.
Oh, yeah.
Our phys ed classes were co-ed. Now, if we're going to do sports night, we now have to include these young men. And let me tell you, those kids, they took that and they ran with it. And you have to make things relevant. You have to, and listen, you have to keep things exciting for kids. You can't, we're older, so what we might just sit back and do, they want something that is exciting, something that is fun, something that they can accomplish. So that's what not just me, it was about 4 of us, got it off the ground. And we started with one night. We ended up with a whole week. We actually, right now, there is a display going on in the Ellerslie Museum in the Cadwalder Park. And this went on for about 6 years, and it was just fantastic. kids are adults are now even now coming back asking, can we have sports night? Can we? And well, there's nobody left. I was the only one that was left still knowing how to put together sports night.
Man.
Everybody else had retired years ago. So I still could tell the story. I had all kinds of things from back in that day, in that era. But yeah, they wanted to bring it back, but I was a teacher at that time, and it was a lot easier for me to get that started. But it was phenomenal. There was a Trenton thing, and you know, a lot of people like in Pennsbury, over in Morrisville, over there, and a lot of other schools, they took it and did what we did at Trenton High, and but it was phenomenal. We sold out every night at Trenton High. I mean, it was unbelievable, and that was something that made people proud. Ooh. They were proud of that. They were proud of what they did, and so time moved on, and it was, you know, that day, that era had come to an end. Yeah.
It's so sad. So I was thinking, you were also instrumental in creating, the hair fashion show. So how did that, listen, I'm gonna ask a dumb question. What inspired you to do that? But you know, I know Sharron Grady, so I pretty much got an idea. But just share with everybody else who doesn't know Sharron Grady. What inspired you to?
Well, this is what it was. About 5 years before I became the athletic director, I was appointed the chair of the Visual and Performing Arts Small Learning Community. At Trenton High, we had these 5 small learning communities, and each one was communications, one was medical arts, one was business, and I was in charge of the visual and performing arts because I taught dance. I had been teaching dance for years. Through sports night, I taught modern, ballet, jazz, and so when it was time for our community, we pulled the kids together. I said, what are we going to do to bring this community together and show off all of our talent? Cosmetology was in our department at the time. Cosmetology, spoken word. I did the dance. We had band, we had music, we had singing, we had all of this was in my community, the visual and performing arts. Well, I said, listen, we're going to pull something together that nobody has had at this school, and that's a hair and fashion show. That's how it became hair too, because we had the cosmetology. We had them in our small learning community. And let me tell you, it wasn't hard to sell the kids. Woo. we had young men that were they were seamstress. They were making the costumes. They were making everything. They were going out purchasing all kinds. When they got turned on to that was it. We had this one night. It was one night a year. And we had people in the front of the school lined up, couldn't even get, and that auditorium, I don't know if you have been in that auditorium at Trenton High, but that auditorium was way, way over 1,000 people.
Oh yeah,
and we had people waiting. We had to turn about 200 or 300 people away.
My goodness.
And the students, oh my God. I say this about Trenton High's kids forever. They are some of the most talented, smartest.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you talking about talent, smart, it just had to be challenged the right way. You know, put it in the right mode and introduce them to things that they can really take off and run with it, because they took off and ran with this thing. And because of something like this, they went on to school and did college and did this stuff. It inspired all kinds of folk. And right after that, our last year doing that, it wasn't supposed to be our last year, but I got this job as the athletic director.
Right.
And once I got this, the person that came in behind me as the chair of the visual and performing arts, I mean, it took a lot of work. It wasn't like you just sit back. And I'm the type of person that I delegate, but I delegate. I don't like to micromanage people, but I know what I want to see. I know what it should look like. And it's a lot of work. And everybody's not going to put the work in.
There you go.
After that year, it kind of fell. I don't even think they did it anymore after that year, because when I went into athletics, that was very tight. I would go in, Aaron. I would go in the morning at 7:00, and at night at 8:00, the custodians would be coming around. Asking me, when am I leaving? And then, my problem was I would leave work and bring home my computer.
Whoa.
And so I had to, and jump right back on it. So I had to learn, that was a big thing for me. I had to learn how to make that work for me, and so I would not burn out.
True. And, I can't even begin to imagine. I know I used to see our athletic director, who was by no means anywhere near dedicated as you were, but still he did his little work. But I can only imagine how you had to balance this, had to create this new set of time management for this position, and those hours. But after taking that position and then seeing the things that you were able to accomplish as a teacher begin to just fade away, I know that had to be not really a fun thing to watch. But now your initiative, now your focus has to be on the athletics of Trenton High. So I know not much you could have done, but that had to be a little disappointing to watch, especially the talent and hair fashion show. To watch that fade away was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was. And a lot of things happened all in that same little time frame. A lot was going on at changing principals, changing administration, changing. And so when you're changing top administration, they may not buy into what you are doing now.
True.
And what your plan, what you can see. And now they have another focus. And so all the time that was spent to do that, get those things done, now it just faded away. And that was tough. But you know what? I said, okay, now what the next, next we gotta move on next. Yeah.
Your chapters kept coming. So as your new chapters opened up, you had to begin writing. You didn't have the luxury of sitting back and revisiting the past. Right now, when that new chapter opened up, it was time for Sharron to start writing.
Yes.
And it is what it is. That's the truth.
It is what it is. That's right. It is what
it is. So okay, we talked about the great things, some of the great things, the accomplishments, the fun parts. Now, when it came to being a disciplinarian and a mentor and a friend, how did you balance that with your students?
Let me tell you. Yeah. Well, it got to a point where it had to get there where they could look at my face. You know how it is? Oh God, that's that mommy face, right? But I found I built some relationships with young people that was just, trust, honesty, rules and regulations. They can say what they want to say when you have standards, and not the kids, it's us, the adults. When you have standards, when you have rules, when you are consistent, you don't have to worry about it. But when you flip-flop, okay, today, and now you're playing with them, because I was pretty young. A lot of like when Mitzi was there, I was 5 or 6 years older than her. That was it.
Wow.
So I was young, but I can remember like talking to her and
Mm-hmm.
she didn't know she was going to be a hairdresser or something. She wasn't going to college. And I
Right.
can remember having, and I was only at that time probably about 23 or 24. I'm having
Mm,
this conversation. This is not just with her, but with other kids, young people, just a conversation, what you can do. No, you can do so, you can do what you want to do. You don't have to, and that's an honorable job. That is
right.
an honorable job, but you have so much more that you can do. Now, we have to make sure you do the right thing. You do what you're supposed to do to get there.
Mm,
And trust, honesty, uh, being on time, modeling these things. This is how I think that you, when you're developing these relationships, it and you want to you want to be a disciplinarian, but you also want them to understand. I I got you. You
right.
know, tell me the truth. Be honest with me. I got you. You
That's
don't
right.
have to worry. And that was one thing that I tried to make sure that I instilled in relationships that I had with not only my athletes, but students in my class, students that come, even as coach, even when I stopped coaching,
Mm-hmm.
I can remember boys, especially boys, and I have such a love for boys. I had two girls, but I have two grandsons.
Okay.
And those boys would come by my office and they would come with they just took my heart away. And
Mm,
they knew they did, but I said, listen, it's not gonna work this way. Do you want this or do you want to do that? Do you want this? If you want this or that, this is what's got to happen. You just can't come in and talk your way through this.
all
And
right.
they respected that because to give respect, you have to be respectful.
Right.
And they know that I was preaching. You don't come. Did I see you in the hall acting all crazy with another adult? We don't do that. Or with another young lady. We don't. That's not what we do. No.
Mm, mm, mm.
How would you feel if someone talked to your mother or your father that way?
That part.
So you got to treat people the way you want to be treated. That was my big thing. And by the time they left, they were almost in tears.
Mm, mm, mm.
Not that I was putting a guilt trip on them, but I was making reality. This is it. I
True.
bet you would like that if that happened to you. So make sure you treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mm, mm, mm. And Sharon, I'm gonna tell you something. In Mitzi's interview, and I'm not going to share too much because she has it in there, but I just want to let you know that I'm hearing you, and I'm also hearing Mitzi, because the very things that you were installing in your students, your athletes and your students, and just regular students that just came by and passed, those are the same core elements that Mitzi used when she was at Dunn Middle School in
Mhm.
teaching and installing in those who were affiliated with her. Those are the very same, almost verbatim, like y'all read this script and said, this is what I'm gonna say, you follow suit. So believe me, your impact is phenomenal. It's profound, because Mitzi said the same thing, the
Mm.
very same things, and this is what she got from you. And not to take away from your steam, but I'm going to share this. When you made mention about what Mitzi and how you had to redirect her, she said that was part of her testimony, that you took her to the guidance counselor and you said, this is what we need to do in order for you to get there.
Yeah.
And you had to reroute everything almost. And so she was so happy about that, because you took the time to see beyond what was just in front of you, a young lady who has capabilities of doing great things, and you saw to what her future required,
Right.
and you put her on that step. So, oh my goodness, I wish I went to Trenton High now. No, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be 100% transparent. A lot of people at Ewing High, you know, they're gonna watch. They might get a little bit upset. But that's okay. I didn't really have a closeness or a deep affiliation with Ewing, because my experience at Ewing was not like everybody else's.
Right.
One, my mom and dad didn't put up with that nonsense, so I couldn't really do everything that everybody else was doing.
Mhm.
I was in the church. I did love the Lord, but
Yeah.
I was still a teenager, so I was
Right.
doing teenager things.
Yeah.
But now hearing you and how you as an athletic director was so involved with your student athletes, I don't, I'm thinking I probably could have got that full scholarship
Yeah.
in
Oh, yeah.
football or somewhere if we had an athletic director who was like you, who cared beyond the surface of what they were seeing in these young students and saw potential that even the students themselves didn't see in themselves. And you were given the gift to be able to see that. So I wish I was at Trenton High, because I don't know. God knows I could have probably been in the NFL because I was no snow leak on the football field. But I did not have the push and the support from our staff. Let me just leave it there. They took particular individuals who they felt like would be Division I quality, and they groomed them. And the rest of us, we were just fill-ins. And so I'm a little bit in my feelings right now. I wasn't at no, I'm serious. I'm in my feelings right now. I just wish every school across this nation could have an entity, a person like yourself, who is involved in their education in high school where they're getting ready to go out into the world. I wish every school had somebody like you, because it's obvious that we may not see the troubles and the challenges that these young people are going through now if they had somebody in their corner that believed in them even when they didn't believe in themselves.
Believe in themselves. And the thing too, Eric, a lot of the parents, especially now with the immigrant parents, and even back in the day, they didn't know. They wanted this, but they didn't have any direction. They didn't know. I know I took a young lady, a little Spanish girl, took her to a luncheon because she was representing our scholar athlete. Her mother and her grandmother came. Neither one of them could speak a lick of English. Neither one. I want you to know this young lady was the valedictorian, and she was going to Dartmouth. She had been accepted to Dartmouth. And I mean, she's growing up in somebody, when she was growing up, somebody took her hand, and because her parents they didn't even speak English. And she spoke it fluently. And all that to say, a lot of times that's why you have to have teachers and coaches who are passionate, who are caring and loving, and act like that's my child. If you do that, you won't have any problem. When you treat them like my child, you'll make the right decisions. You won't spice stuff. You will teach the whole thing, because that's and I know what I want for mine. I want the same for yours.
That's profound. That is so profound. That is for everybody listening. If you're going into teaching and education, listen to this. This is important, because as the new teachers that are coming up, you are going to be holding the future in your hands, because our young people are our future. So we have to, like the Bible tells us, bring up a child in the way that they should go. Later, when they get old, they shall not depart from it. So that also applies in our education system. So everybody listen up. Wise words spoken. Now, listen, Sharron, what was the most important lesson you tried with all your heart and all your being to teach every student that came through, i.e. your program or your classrooms?
Wow. Well, you know what, Eric? One of the things that I believe is so important is to be accountable. Be accountable for what you do, how you do it. When you're accountable, and that means you won't, oh, I didn't do that. Oh, that's not me. Oh, I didn't do. You've gotta be accountable for the way you carry yourself, and your family, yourself, your town, your church, all the people around you. You got to be respectful. Those things, I think, when people know that you are respectful, you know how to speak to people, you know to be accountable to what your convictions are, what you believe in. And honest, this day and age, I see so much really bad stuff. And when I say bad stuff, things that people do and say and they don't mean it.
Right.
And you got to mean what you say. My mother would say, mean what you say and say what you mean.
What you mean? Mm-hmm.
Things will carry you because people are watching you.
That's
People,
right.
young people are watching every move that you make. And, be a role model. Be a role model. Let somebody look up and want to be like you.
Right. Right.
Carry yourself that way. And you will fulfill all the things that you should fulfill.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, wise words. Listen up. Now, you mentioned that oftentimes that the students gave you more than you gave them. Tell us a little bit what that meant for you.
Satisfaction beyond belief. And when you see these children, let me tell you, this is a quick story. We went to pick, they didn't have a way to get, a lot of our students didn't have a way to get to the school. Track team would leave at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, get on the bus, no food, no nothing. Kids didn't have, and then after the meet that has lasted 8 hours, and we would go by McDonald's, didn't have any money to get anything. So now you go all day with nothing. So they would need a pen to do put on their numbers, or they need a rubber band for this or a pen for this. Most people would know that when they left home. The kids said, well, where are we going to get a pen and a rubber band from? Where are we going to get $2 or $3 from? Now, this was kids. This was, somebody came with $20, $30. But we did not have, they said, we don't have anywhere to get that from. These are teenagers. These are little kids. We don't have pens in the house. Where y'all get pens from? Where you get? So we got to the point where we would bring some pens, go to the dollar store with them and get some pens or whatever. And then after that track meet, we go in. No way in the world could I sit there and eat my food, and kids are just sitting there having eaten all day. So I said, listen, we all going to eat from the dollar menu. Here's for you, here's $2 for you, here's $2. I mean, these are things that you run into when you are in a city. Let's face it. But I went the other way. But why I said that because they give you such a satisfaction when you hear them say thank you, and they call you and they say, can you come and pick me up, because they know you will. Can you pick me up from work at 12 o'clock at night? And one of our girls was at Rutgers, and she was so afraid. She went to Rutgers her freshman year. We had to go late at night because she cried so hard. She wanted to come home. We went and got her. Of course, we took her back the next day, and she graduated. But all of these kind of little things, these kind of satisfactions that I just, these are the things that just make me glow. And I had so much fun. This was a job that was meant for me. You have to love teaching and being with children, and you have to love it to have that job. Now, you can't have it for money. You can't have it for anything but because you love it. Because if you don't, you will be miserable, because kids expect a lot out of you.
Right.
You are asking a lot out of them, and they expect, and if you don't love it, you will hate it. You will hate it. And let me tell you, I was never absent for 4 years. I never took a day off until I had started having children. I didn't want to miss anything.
Okay.
Job. Those kids would come in the morning. They come in with their energy, telling you what went on in their life. You're sitting there listening, giving them back what they need. And that's develop those relationships. They trust you when you give them those, what would you do if you did this or this? What should I do? And you have those conversations. It was just the best. It was the best. And this is a different generation, because my daughters are both teachers. They said, Ma, you don't know. It's not like it was back then. I said, I know that. And y'all got to figure out another way now.
That's right. Hey, that's facts.
I'm telling you. I said, then that's how it was. Everything wasn't sugar and cream. I know it sounds like I'm but it was a tough job. It was a
Mhm.
tough job. It was a tough job. But when you have those times when you see kids walk across that floor,
Mm.
graduate, accepted into college, uh, running their best race at the state championship. Um, People are coming back saying those are the best cheerleaders in the state of New Jersey.
Mm.
When you get all of these things and the kids are happy, that makes you happy.
It
And
does.
they put in the work and you put in the work.
My. Now, listen, I'm gonna tell you something from an athletic perspective or point of view. As a student athlete, when Trenton High, I was sharing with Mitzi, in Ewing in the CBC, Notre Dame was our biggest rival. So when it came to playing Notre Dame, it didn't matter what the sport was. It was a little, sell out, everybody doing their thing. But I'm gonna tell you, Sharon, the first year we saw Trenton High School in our schedule,
Right.
it was game over. Listen, we prepared that year harder than we've ever prepared because we already knew that we could not go to the Tornadoes with no
Yes.
half-stepping game.
Absolutely.
So you guys, Trenton High has all historically always brought out the best in competition spirit in all of the schools.
And still do.
Mhm.
Still same thing. A couple of weeks ago, we played Ewing High, and the gym was packed. And I still been going to the basketball games, and yeah, and the place was packed. So you know that the energy was high, and that rivalry is still there. Back
Still
from
there.
when,
Telling you,
yeah,
y'all beat us up pretty bad, but y'all knew
yeah,
we were there though. I
yeah,
got me some good hits. But
yeah,
I love playing Trenton. I love being competitive, and I love what Trenton High brought out in Ewing when we came into competition with you guys. But
yeah,
that's just on the outside end. All of that, that particular energy that Trenton emits, it all starts in your hallways with people like yourself, creating students who want to be the best. And so, and then wanting to be the best, they're going to perform at their best. And when they perform at their best, they create the competition to want to perform at their best. So it was like a domino effect in a good way.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Everybody
But
makes people better. We made you better, and we wanted to be better. We wanted to win. So
mhm.
that's how it goes. Everybody shows. I tell them, "Oh, you're gonna show off today, huh?" Yeah, they, yeah, they do extra.
They
See,
do the extra. They do the extra.
mm-hmm,
Now, you under your leadership, the football stadium, the
mm-hmm.
football field became state of the art. Tell me
Yeah.
something, Sharon. How did you get that to take flight?
Listen, you said it in the beginning. Started the conversation for that started over 20 something years ago.
Mm, mm, mm.
That I wasn't even a part of the original conversation. My husband was.
Okay.
And it kept getting knocked down over 20 years to the point where they just forgot to stopped.
Mm.
Now, here we go. We're getting this brand new school. So the financier came to me and said, had y'all thought about a field? I said, that's all we've been talking about. I've been talking about it with the fields, with our custodial staff and the head of facilities about how can we get a new field. So we can see what we can do. I have to go through your superintendent. Well, we had that superintendent about a year.
Okay.
And all gone. That was gone out the window. Once he left, he never did anything with it or included anyone who could keep it going. Now, I am displaced because we tearing down the school. My office is now where the facilities building is.
Okay.
So now I'm with the facilities director every day. So I'm saying, listen, what can we do to get this field? What can we do? He said, well, there's a capital projects grant every year that comes up if you want to push for it to be used to do the new field. So I said, absolutely. So I started with that and went through Addie. Addie, you know Addie.
Addie Lane.
President at the time.
Okay.
She got on board and started talking it up, and we got a lot of the board members and community people involved. The teachers, that was the leadership of the teachers union at that time, believe it or not, didn't want it.
What?
Said we didn't need it. We need to buy pencils for the kids. We didn't need it. Like, didn't have pencils. But anyway, it was a fight. It was a fight. So we were on, it was during COVID. So we were on a call. We were on a call, and they were voting that night, the city, on if they would finance the new stadium. And everybody, I got people to come in from the outside who used to play at Trenton High, professionals come in. We all got people come in and speak about why it is needed and why our kids, they go other places and everybody else has a wonderful facility with brand new everything, but we have to play on dirt and, you know, we don't have this facility, and our kids are doing a lot better. They're going places, they're doing things. Oh, I mean, we just really told a story. Well, they voted that night and the vote carried. It was unanimous.
Right. Now, we're talking about, you made mention during the vote, you guys were going back to get old athletes and professional athletes. Now, Jair Brown, you mentored him. He came under you, didn't he? What was that when you saw when he was announced in the draft and he got drafted? What was that like, remembering him when he was in the hallways of Trenton High School?
Let me say this, Jair, before he was even, when he was in the middle school, that was a time when he was in every sport in our middle school program, and I had taught it, so I knew the family very well.
Right.
So he was in all the middle school sports, and then it was time to come to high school. That's when we broke up, and we went in all these 5 different directions. Wow. And he was a leader even in high school. He was a leader. He's the kid that you know that you can count on. You can say, okay, he's in charge. If the coach never gets there, he will do everything he needs to do for this team, and this team will be fine. That's how I hired a new coach. And let me tell you, that summer, we call him Tig. T-I-G. That's his name. He's always gone by. Anyway, he was out there throwing the ball, and he saw this guy walking on the field. And he went over to him. He said, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jair Brown. Are you the new football coach? And I mean, from then on, he just took his heart because of the way he presented himself. And so, such a special young man. We would go, my husband and I would go with Jair's family to Penn State, to about 3 or 4 of his games at Penn State. And they were phenomenal. We stayed for the weekend and kind of hung out with him. This is before draft time had even come up. But he was playing fantastic. So we knew that he should be going in the pros. Well, they had a couple of parties. They had a couple of draft parties because his agent had told him the first night he should go, and he didn't go the first night. And we were all there. Yeah, we were all there. And then he didn't get the call. And so they planned another party. Well, our next night, I forgot, whatever the second night of the draft was.
Okay.
And they had everything on the big screen, but he was with us. He was there. And once they kept pulling up, and you know how they do the draft, and they pulled up and he got a phone call just before they pulled his name up. And when he got there, everybody was like, you could hear a pin dropping, this place was packed. And mother was standing there, and it was the San Francisco. Yeah. They wanted him to come to the Eagles, but he was in San Francisco. And it was just, listen, it was a blessing because he's so humble. He's so humble. He told us, he said, this job, this NFL is not for everybody.
So I'm going to ask this crazy question because you probably have so many, but what would be your single most proudest moment as an athletic director?
Single? Ooh, that is tough. But you know what, Eric? I would probably say when I sit back and the fact that I have provided opportunities for young people to excel, succeed, and be their best version of themselves. Provide opportunities to help them become successful. That's really what it's all about. That's what it was all about for me.
I'm going to ask this question because I see you got the jacket on. Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Yeah.
Now, I got a quick story about this real quick.
Uh-oh.
So it's a good one. So me growing up though, you know, all the women that I had affiliation with that I knew, Karen Palmer, you know, doing my high school, Karen Palmer, and there were other women, they were all Delta. So the only thing I knew growing up was Delta. I thought that was the only Greek sorority out there, Delta. But now, again, seeing even at our church all the Deltas, and then I'm now looking at all the different events that the Deltas are doing. In the AKs, everybody, you know, but I'm looking at the Deltas because those are the ones I had direct involvement with. I knew those guys. I knew the ladies personally. Delta Theta Sigma sorority. What is your membership to the Deltas? How did that play a role in your life and work?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, I did not pledge in college because I was a student athlete as well, and the time just didn't allow it.
Okay.
But as soon as I started teaching at Trenton High School, Dr. Palmer came up and snapped right away. Oh, you're going to be a Delta. Because she was a phys ed teacher first. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
The first phys ed teacher at Nottingham High School, then she became a guidance counselor. But anyway, I became a Delta back in the 70s. And what has made it so real and whole for me is because of what we stand for. And that is good service. That service is unbelievable. And scholarship. Making sure that scholarship, we raise money, we make sure the next generation, everybody has an opportunity to go to school. We have youth groups and do a lot of community service. We have we go out feeding people. It's just, and those things are really special to me. And you know, we were found on Christian principles. True. And that is just really, we do nothing without making sure that we honor God, who is first in our and the head of whatever we are doing with Delta Sigma Theta.
You know, like I said, I had all my dealings were with the Deltas. I did not know, again, like I said, I didn't know there was another sorority out there. I thought it was only Delta.
There isn't.
Technically, there isn't. But you know, I really enjoyed watching the Deltas, and like I said, growing up, I enjoyed watching the Deltas. I enjoyed when they put on events, and you know, they always came in numbers, and that was always something that was important to me. I believe there's strength in numbers, and you guys never fail with the numbers. You represented with those numbers. How did it feel, Sharron, when you saw your name on the building with dedication? What did you think?
It was mind-blowing. Let me tell you, the way that came into fruition, I didn't believe. If you had told me that this was going to happen, I would say, because right after I retired, Stacy Heading, I don't know if you know Stacy.
I know Stacy.
Stacy had put my picture on two billboards. And we went out there that day. A group of people went out for the unveiling. Okay. And that was a cold day in March. It's Women's History Month. He did it. And while everybody's making their little speech, he and Yasminelli get out, and with my daughters, had them
Mhm.
over, pulled them over there, and saying that they were getting a petition to name the complex after me. I said, what? I said, "Now, listen, I appreciate all of the love, everything, but that's not going to happen." I said, because when we built this building, because I was in on the planning of it and the
Mhm.
every little step of it, I said it was decided that nobody's name would go on the building. I don't want you to think that's me doing this.
Mhm.
I said, I'm not pushing this. I said, I know it's not going to happen. So please don't think, because I wouldn't be pushing my own agenda like this. No.
All
She
right.
said, well, now I know Addie very well.
Mhm.
She said, I tell you what, it might happen. My eyes popped out. I said, what? She said, it might. I think it's going to happen. I said, oh my gosh. And so it took a while because they said, now we don't put that up. You all, I guess they told them, I don't know. They had to do some kind of, it wasn't a budget for to come out. You know how that goes. So they all pulled together and had fundraiser and raised the money. Doug Palmer was there. The mayor, Trenton was there. The mayor now, the city,
Mhm.
city council. Yeah, I was like, okay. But it wasn't too, it was fine. It was fine. It went well. They didn't have to do that. They could have just gone on with what they have something out anyway already, but it's not big like that. But if anything that I could have wished for would be that my parents would have seen it. They would have been so proud. I don't feel like I did anything. I'm just so grateful for whatever I've received. And it's just such a blessing.
Well, Sharon, great leaders often don't feel like they've done anything. That's what makes them great. Great leaders always put the needs of people before their own needs. That's why Christ was such a great leader. But thank you, Sharon, for coming on the show today.
Yeah, let me tell you about the ones they tried to hide. The heroes in the shadows who stood up with pride. Shirley Chisholm, first black woman in Congress. Unboarded and boss, paved the way for generations, no matter the cost. Bayer Rustin organized the march in Washington, you see. Behind the scenes, architect of equality. Claudette Colvin, 15 years old, refused to give up a seat. 9 months before Rosa, but history incomplete. Annie Lee Cooper stood in line to vote, got punched in the face. But she fought back, wouldn't let them put her in a place. Dorothy Heights, civil rights queen for 6 decades strong. Fighting for women's rights, righting every wrong. Bessie Coleman, first black woman pilot to fly. Broke barriers in the sky, reaching way up high. Robert Abbott founded the Chicago Defender, spread the news. Gave black voices power, shared our view. You can't erase us, can't erase us. We're written in the stars, we're written in the dust. You can't erase us, can't erase us. Our legacy lives on.